Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. I'm James and today we are going to be starting F1 2021 My Team Career Mode. I'm really excited for this, and this was on the previous gen game, but let's get into it of creating our team. So you see we can pick in a calendar here. We end up actually going for the normal 20 races, and we're going to use the My Team icons as well to partner up with some incredible drivers later down the line.
Welcome to My Team. Here you'll experience the world of Formula 1, not only as a driver, but as the owner of a brand new F1 team. First things first, let's create your driver.
Driver done.
And now let's focus on your driver's look.
There he is, looking very nice, very nice. And we choose a very cringy radio call to go with him.
I need a moment.
Great. Now let's set up some of the key details of your new team. We'll start with an easy one. What name would you like to give the team? Nice. Now, some kind of income stream is critical, so we need to sign a primary sponsor. Our primary sponsor will pay a signing bonus to the team up front. This is vital to cover the early investments we need to make. They will also provide valuable weekly income for us. Each sponsor has a goal they want the team to achieve. If we hit that goal, the sponsor will pay us an additional goal bonus.
So we had a look through the sponsors and we ended up going with Xenon Dynamics.
Fantastic! Now we've got a budget to work with. Our car won't be going anywhere fast without a power unit, so let's sign a power unit supplier now. We need both performance and durability from our power unit, but we also need to balance the books. We're going to have a lot of other areas to invest our cash into.
So you see you got Renault, Honda, Mercedes and Ferrari there. There's a big gap between the price difference between Renault and say Ferrari. We end up going with Honda in the end because I feel like it had a mix of both performance and durability.
We almost have all the key partners for our team now, but we still need a teammate for you.
And we go with Jack Aitken.
Looks like we can afford this power unit supplier and teammate. Go ahead and confirm if you're happy.
Hello folks, and welcome to this, a very special edition of Paddock Pass. As you can see, there's no pit lane behind me, and as you can hear, no roar of engines, and that's because they've set me free from the F1 paddock to escape here to the countryside and to the headquarters of Formula One's newest team. Now, it's not every day we get to pull back the curtain and look behind the scenes at an F1 team. Rarer still that we get to talk not only to the team owner, but also the team's lead driver. But what makes this place extra special is that the owner and lead driver are one and the same person. Now, it's been an interesting 12 months, and we all know a number of the regulation changes which were due to come into effect this year have been delayed until next. Some, though, are still seeing the light of day, amongst them the all-important budget cap, which gives some of the smaller teams a little further down the order, potentially, the opportunity to compete with the bigger teams. Good for them, but great for us as viewers. But what does our new team owner think about these new rules? Do they see them as a challenge, a hurdle that needs to be overcome? Perhaps they see them as an opportunity to disrupt the status quo, a chance to come out swinging and to carve their name into Formula One history. Well, I had the opportunity to ask them these very questions just earlier today, and here's what they had to say. Well, first of all, thanks so much for inviting us here today. It's been wonderful to see behind the scenes. As you might expect, I've got about 1 million questions, so let's jump straight in. It's been a long time since we last saw a team owner take their own car onto the track, and the sport's changed enormously in the intervening years. How are you going to handle the responsibilities of both managing and driving for a Formula One team? Let's talk about your teammate. Now, it's clear they're excited to have signed with you, but tell me, what is it that you think they bring to the team? So you've obviously been putting a lot of work into the car. I know it's early days, but how do you expect it to feel out there? Most of the other teams can boast years of experience in Formula One. Where do you see the opportunities to make those vital performance gains you need to put you within reach of the other cars? Ultimately, your success this season is going to come down to whether you can take positions from the other drivers. What is it about your car that's going to give you that edge in those battles? And finally, with so many specialist departments working together here at your headquarters, and with such an important deadline coming up, who's getting that coveted Teacher's Gold Star? Which group do you feel the most proud of right now? Well, thank you so much for your time. It's been wonderful to get an insight from you and, of course, to see around the headquarters. Thank you for today. Really appreciate it. And thank you all at home for watching as well. We'll see you very soon.
So there we go, we've had our interview with Will Buxton. It's not really a lot we can say about the car at this early stage. We haven't had it on track. We don't know what's actually going to feel like that. But now we just need to do some team activities and reveal the car to you.
Maximize the team's performance.
So I won't talk over Charlie. But yeah, we basically just need to do all the activities. See if we can actually get in any early upgrades with the resource points. So we see we've got 1,000 resource points there. And quite a bit of money, considering. We're just seeing it's quite an awkward slot where to put these activities, because it was our 6-day period and I think a 5-day period, so tricky to get these things in. But we're seeing what we can optimize, see what areas of the team and development we can optimize as well, and see if we can gain any cash or anything as well, which is what we end up doing with a merchandise sale. But yeah, we're just trying to make sure the car is the best it can be for the first race. It's not going to be quick. You can see what upgrades we've done there. So we've done some durability, accidentally really, I didn't really plan to do that. Some aerodynamics, but mainly powertrain. So that's quite good. And no chassis. So we're going to instantly see if we can get a chassis upgrade. And if we have enough resource points to do a chassis upgrade. We're just deciding which one to do here. 40% failure chance is fairly high, but we're going to go with it anyway, because why not? We could try and get some early gains before the season even starts. But yeah, having a look at aerodynamics, you see the 2 upgrades we've done there, and we can't do any more for aerodynamic. We've done a little bit for powertrain, and there is one we can do. We have 500 resource points. It's just which upgrade we need to do to use those 500 resource points. We're looking at the ignition system, also durability, but you can see how many durability upgrades we've actually done. They're all general wear, but that's really going to help us hopefully in the season to stop us getting grid penalties and things like that, because that would really push us back further. I imagine we will not be fighting with the top teams to start off with anyway. So we need to try and minimise those as much as we can. So durability upgrades might not be a bad thing, but we're going to try a rear floor under tray upgrade, but end up being far too expensive. We only have 500 resource points, but once we do practice, hopefully those will rack up a bit. and we'll be able to develop the car further and get it with those top teams, ideally by near the end of the season. But there we go, we're going to do that powertrain upgrade of the ignition system, which will really help us in a straight line hopefully, and give us some top speed advantage over the other teams. But there you go, that is all our resource points used up. You can see we've got the two minor upgrades coming now, so the chassis, the weight reduction, and the powertrain engine power. And there we go, on paper we are theoretically ahead of Williams, Haas and Alfa Romeo, which is quite promising. I was shocked to see this, to be honest. I thought we'd be bottom by miles, but we're not, which is really nice. So let's see on track, hopefully the story is the same. But we're going to get these days rolling through, the driver training camp coming through, all the weekly resources, and now I'll show you the car. There she is then, what a beauty. You see I've just completely covered it in the one sponsor I've got. But anyway, we're gonna go through all the days. Let me know in the comments, guys, what you think of the livery, by the way. And if you want to change, if you think I should change it. But anyway, we're gonna go to the race weekend now and see what this car is all about. But first, of course, we need to check if we can actually do any upgrades, because facility in this game is very important. We can actually end up doing 2, maybe 3 upgrades at the same time if we get Spec 3, so in each department, so that'd be really nice if we can upgrade those quite quickly. Let's go to the race. Or the first practice session, rather. So practice 1, they're all 60 minutes this year, so this game is keeping with obviously the current season. Last year I believe they went down in time in terms of practice sessions, but ends up not being a problem at all. In fact, it ends up being better. But you'll soon realise that there's actually less driver programs, if you like. So you had track acclimatization, and I believe there's only 2 more now. So, but you still get a very good chunk of resource points. We're seeing which rivalry we can get. We can't get a rivalry at this early stage, but I'm sure the media at some point will ask us who we're rivaling with. But we're checking if we do any last upgrades, because we have gained 550 resource points from those last few days of activities and things. And unfortunately the department capacity is reached, so what was I saying with the spec of the facilities, we can't do 2 simultaneous upgrades, unfortunately. But we've had the powertrain upgrade go on the car, which should be nice. So it was good to get that in before even this first race. And we're going to see if we can use that to our advantage. So here we go then. This will be the first time that we drive the car. This is actually one of the first times I've actually driven the cars on the game. This is probably about 3rd or 4th time, so don't expect anything crazy. But we'll see if we can actually do a track acclimatization or anything. But what we end up doing is just driving, get a feel for the car, because it's always different on track than it is on paper. There you go, engineers letting us out here. Tyre blankets come off, and we're going to roll out for our first session, first drive in the My Team car. So here we go, exiting the pit lane. And you can hear these cars definitely sound different to last year as we completely muck up turn 1 already. Good start. But you can definitely hear these cars sound different. There's more of an electric whine in the background that you hear all the time. So last year's it was definitely hear the engine sound, hear the V6 a bit more. This time the V6 is slightly quieter and you hear that electric whine just go throughout the gears, which I quite like actually. I don't really mind it. Obviously they don't sound as good as V12s or whatever, but yeah, talk about the engine, let's take a listen. Okay, so you can hear there the engine does sound alright. Obviously it's not like a V12 or a V10 or even the V8s of the late 2000s, but it's not too bad. I don't mind it. Obviously these cars have come a long way since naturally aspirated big petrol guzzling power plants, and I got a ton of hybrid systems. But that's our first lap out in the car, weaving around seeing what the car is doing. And it feels okay, it feels not too bad, it feels punchy in the straights, little lackluster on the front end, but that's because we haven't barely done any aerodynamic upgrades whatsoever to it. But that's what you kind of expect, you kind of expect it to feel not quite as you'd like it, but that's why we do the upgrades, that's why we develop the car over time. And heading into the garage now, but those things will get better as we develop the car throughout the season. Here we go, we're going to go for our first practice session.
As many corner gates as you can. The faster you get through each corner, the higher the score.
And this is track acclimatization. So there we go, running lovely and wide. I do have corner cutting on regular. I just find I'm corner cutting far too much, but you won't see loads of track extending or anything. But anyway, complete the program and done with that first practice session. Jack ended up being ahead of me, but it's no big deal at this stage, it's only practice. But yeah, you can see my settings here. I'm just going to turn them down with the practice because I don't want to, you know, make it any harder than I need it to be. So I do run it with 100 anyway. I find that's a good AI level for me. I don't know why, but F1's been, if you don't save the car damage, I've had it on reduced a couple of times, so if you see that, don't worry. For the race I do make sure I check that, and I believe it is normal and for the race, so it won't be scot-free in terms of wing damage, I'm sure. But yeah, it's very weird glitch with F1 at the minute. Obviously it's a new game, so they can't do everything. But you can see we've done all the programs, the race strategy, the fuel management, 4 out of 5,
like you've really been
and then the media come along.
and development this season.
So they're asking a silly question this time, and I'm just trying to put everything to chassis so we can get some upgrades for chassis. There we go.
Appreciate your time.
I'm getting some perks for the durability and chassis. But we're going to go into qualifying now and see where this car will place. Nice chunk of resource points there. Let's see where this car will place in qualifying. So we're going to use those resource points now. So we've got nearly 1,500, and you saw there the discounts that we can get with some of these upgrades is quite incredible. There we go again, realising we can't do 2 upgrades at once unfortunately, so we won't be able to get that distribution upgrade. But we can see the ignition system upgrade is complete, and the spark plug upgrade is now available, which is only 426. That would only use about a third of our resource points, which is pretty good. So we're going to whack that on the car, because nothing wrong with a little bit more power, as Jeremy Clarkson would say. So we're going to add some more power to the car, and that should come in the next couple of races, hopefully. So we're going to get some aerodynamic upgrades, because already on those first few practice sessions we could see that the front end was extremely understeery with any tyre compound that we used. So for the next races we're going to hopefully try and eliminate that understeer, that front end tyre grip a bit with these upgrades, hopefully, because that, I'd say, is the main problem of the car, aerodynamics. Chassis isn't too bad. I know we haven't done any upgrades on it, but the car does feel very understeer indeed. It doesn't feel like it's moving about a little bit. You'll see I do have a few oversteer snaps and things, but maybe just getting on the power too early. But yeah, the aerodynamics, especially front end, does feel really bad. But we're going to put a gearbox upgrade on, because again, minimising those penalties, hopefully, that other teams may get. But yeah, checking the last few things, and then we are going to go shortly. You see no stats there whatsoever. We're going to go to qualifying. So here we are then for quali. Now this will be interesting to see where our car actually places in the grid, because we have a fair idea, but not a massive one. So you've got a custom setup on there. I just found a setup for Bahrain. We're going to try and get a lap in early, because we don't know how bad or good that lap will be, and see where it will put us. But yeah, we're going to get onto the track.
All complete. Mechanics, please stand clear. We're ready to go.
And see what banker time we can get, and see where that places in the field. I imagine we won't be very high at all, to be honest. Expect to be, you know, fighting to get out of Q1, to be honest, because this car is nowhere near with AlphaTauris, McLarens, Alpines, anything like that. As we follow Tsunoda out the garage. Here we go, we're going to round out the final corner for our first lap. Do full commentary on this first lap, see how it goes. So opening the DRS there, into 8th gear, and we're just extending away 200 miles an hour down the main straight. Looking just before the 100 board, braking down into 2nd gear. Miss the apex a little bit there. A short shift up to 3rd and into 4th as well, just to get that rotation. Into the DRS again, under the boards, and we're braking for this 2nd board here. Into 4th, hitting the apex nicely. Not running wide either, so that's good. You can see we've actually caught up with Tsunoda a little bit. But here we go, this is where our car is not so good. Aerodynamics through the chicane. That wasn't too bad. Into the tricky hairpin here at the end. Very easy to get wrong on power, but we don't get too much wheel spin. And this is my least favourite corner on the track by far. Still hate this. But we hook it up not too bad. Opening the DRS again. 3 DRS things on this detection zones on this track, so it should be quite easy to overtake here, theoretically, if we have the straight line speed. See a little snap there, it's actually Stroll, apologies, but he actually sort of infringes our first lap, ended up having a big oversteer moment. You can see that lap wasn't brilliant in the end. That last sector we did lose a bit of time. On a par with some guys, but you can see a lot of people doing 21.5, 21.4 up ahead, which is really what we want to be doing in our final sector. So yeah, but we go for a second run because we know that is unlikely to be good enough. 5 minutes remaining in the session, so we're going to put another time in here. Skipping into the lap, you can see I'm up a little bit. First sector wasn't so good. This second sector I'm up by 1.5, 2 tenths now. Running a tiny bit wide, but that's okay, using the curb. Bit far from the apex there, we run wide, and that costs us a lot of time down this whole straight, so we're just losing time, getting to the braking sword just at the board, into 4th, rounding off the final corner nicely. But it is an improvement by about 0.3, so a slight improvement, but nothing drastic. And we're racing the clock here, 13 seconds. We're going to go for a final lap because, well, at this stage I was not convinced that I was going to get through to Q2, and I really would like to get through to Q2 on the first race. That would really show the performance of our car really nicely. Qualifying is complete there, we just crossed the line just in time. We can go for this final lap. Unfortunately we've got an Alpine in front of us, but hopefully it won't infringe us too much. And opening the DRS, using the straights to our advantage. You can see we're nearly 2/10 up already going into that third corner. Using all the exit possible into the tricky chicane part. Hooking up nicely, don't want to touch the curbs. The curbs on this game are so deadly compared to last year. You seem to just throw the car out unexpectedly, even if you only just slightly run over them. You can see we're almost half a second up on our previous time, and we're going to gain even more time because of that infringement that Stroll did, so hopefully we won't get that big snap of oversteer through here. Let's see, sweeping it through the left, no such drama whatsoever, be able to take the nice racing line using all the track, hooking it into that apex. No understeer problems here on quali trim. You can see we've caught up with the Alpine. Ocon lets us through, thankfully, so he doesn't infringe our time at all. 4/10 up, so he's lost a little bit of time, but it's not too bad. Out of the final corner on the power, and we're going to come across the line again, about 3.5 tenths, and that is going to put us through to Q2. Now I don't actually know because we cut to Verstappen here, so I don't actually know where we are, but we end up just scraping through to Q2, which was a lovely surprise actually. So yeah, there you go, 15th. Unfortunately Jack gets knocked out, not by a massive margin, but he does get knocked out. You can see there, 27.0, not a bad lap at all. And yeah, that's going to put us safely through to Q2. But yeah, I'm really happy that we're ahead of the Alfa Romeo, ahead of all the Williams, the Haas. It's where we were statistically on paper, so that's good. But here we go, into Q2. Now, unfortunately, I used up all my soft tyre sets to try and get into Q2. So, unfortunately, they're all worn. You can see we're looking to see if we could go with the medium. We end up just using a used set of softs. And yes, they are going to be slower, so I end up only doing, I believe, 1 lap in this session because I know that we're not going to be up there at all. But yeah, we're going to go for a lap either way. You can see all the engine at this point is nowhere near as worn, so that's nice. So we can just push the car as much as we like. Obviously we want to make sure it lasts at least 6 races, especially gearbox, so we don't have to take any engine penalties, component changes or whatever. But here we go, this is our one and only lap of Q2. A minute 30 left in the session on used softs, so it's unlikely to be quicker than what we've done in Q1. Here we go, braking at the same point as usual, hitting that apex in third gear. I feel like third gear rotates the car nicely through that corner. I was between third and fourth there, but ended up sticking to third that time around. Into the tricky downhill hairpin, easy to get the braking point wrong here. And heading up to the horrible corner. It's just the apex is so late, but the runoff is so small that you have to get it dead right to be able to gain time. But it's unlikely to be any quicker than last time. But this is our first lap. We see we're last obviously, but gonna try and see if we can sneak up a place or two using all the curb on exit through the long right and the same to the second right. But it's not looking good, to be honest. These old tyres are about 4 or 5 tenths a lap slower than they were if they were new, despite them only doing 2 laps. But we're going to come across the line here, see where it puts us. It puts us 15th, so we are ahead of Raikkonen, and that is where we would stay. But interestingly, you see Gasly there has a 5 position penalty, so that hopefully will put us up the grid a little bit. Yeah, see, we're ahead of Kimi Raikkonen. That was nice. You can see that 6/10 slower than our lap in Q1, so there you go, the tyres were slower. There you go, getting that team acclaim in, getting my driver rating or driver acclaim up and the team acclaim up, so we can get some more sponsors, more developments on the car, which should be really nice. But we're going to now head into the race. It looks nice and dry, but let's go do the race and hopefully we can dispatch of some cars. Lots of upgrades going to go on as well to hopefully help us. But let's try and chase AlphaTauri into the race and hopefully we can have a nice battle with them and even maybe beat them.
Months of rumour and speculation all come to an end today as we return to racing for the opening event of what promises to be an enthralling season. Welcome along then to round one of this year's Formula One World Championship. Anthony Davidson is with me today as we get another year of Formula One underway.
We're into those tense few minutes before the first race then. Everyone's a little bit nervous about reliability. They haven't been running in the hot, turbulent wake of other cars in practice. They've not been pushing at 100% for long durations. Let's hope no one has to deal with any nasty surprises.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Verstappen, Perez, Lando Norris and Ricciardo, Vettel, Leclerc, Stroll and Carlos Sainz, Fernando Alonso, Tsunoda, Esteban Ocon, James,
40.
Raikkonen, Gasly, Antonio Giovinazzi and Mick Schumacher, Aitken, Latifi, Mazepin and George Russell ends our grid lineup. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
So there we go then, gaining a position from where we actually qualified in qualifying. 14th, that's really nice. We're close to the fringes of the top 10, which means we can do alternate strategies to the drivers up ahead. So the likes of Mercedes, Red Bull, McLaren. And we're just fiddling about with strategies, seeing if a 2-stop, 1-stop is better. And obviously we've got barely any or none tyre wear upgrades on the car at the minute. So we can't really, go on softer compounds and make them last because they just won't last. We're going to go for medium and hard and start the race. So here we go. 5 red lights. And it's a long light, but it's lights out and away we go. And you can see a ton of wheel spin off the start. The first phase was okay, but the second phase is downright awful. Into overtake briefly, we're going to go for a big send up the inside. You see front wings flying already. We're going to squeeze up the inside here of the AlphaTauri, but then we get hang out to dry on the curb. But despite that, we still get them. We're going to have to go defensive into T3. You can see he's on my left there, Tsunoda. But here is the start. So you can see it was a decent start, and we send it up the inside to try and gain the positions back that we did lose. You can see it's a very big squeeze, and we just get hang out to dry on the curve there. But dispatch of the AlphaTauri in the process. But here we go, up into turn 3. The AlphaTauri trying around the outside, but I'm going to give him none of it. We run wide a little bit. You can see Tsunoda's all over us. And so much understeer through this second phase that he's going to get us on the inside. And we lose it on the curb. We make contact with Tsunoda. Surely we've got some damage there. We get a warning. But we just had no grip whatsoever on the curve. You can see going up into T3, side by side. Tsunoda isn't really there. He backs out. We take the position from him. But that front end not doing us any good. And you can see how much understeer we get. Ooh, on the curb, on the sand nearly. And we make contact with Tsunoda there. Bit of front wing end plate to reattire contact. But we carry on. Looking at MFD. The MFDs tell me that I don't have any damage, but I'm not convinced. Because The MFD doesn't usually pick up minor damage, so hopefully the damage is only minor. But you can see Raikkonen, lap 3 now, overtaking us. You can see we have got a sharp bite on that front end plate, so there definitely is some kind of front wing damage. Raikkonen dispatches us nice and easily. We're not going to fight him, we're actually going to try and follow him. See if he's actually any quicker, and if not, well, we'll re-overtake him. So we're just going to stick behind him. Obviously we're in the dirty air, so it's not ideal, and it might use the tyres up a bit. But here we go then, following through, and you see the dirty air really having a massive effect through the S's. Using all the curb, but you can see there's so much understeer. I had to lift off so not to run wide and spin on that curb again. But we've had enough of being behind Raikkonen. He wasn't any quicker. We were losing time to Tsunoda and Alonso up ahead. So we decide enough is enough. We're going to have that position back, thank you very much. He tries to go for it in the S's, which is never a good idea. We just shut the door on him. You're not coming through there, mate. And that is that. And Raikkonen is just going to have to stick behind us for now. And you can see with all this squabbling, Aitken is actually gaining. We've got a yellow flag up ahead, and Sights is off the road there. I don't actually know what that was for. I couldn't find it in replay, but it obviously has been an inch up ahead. But that's a free position for us, up in 12th. Aitken still looming 2.5 seconds behind. But you can see the leaders coming in now, so on their worn soft compound tyres. This is the opposite strategy we're trying to do. So we're going mediums to hards, they're going soft to mediums, but I imagine they'll have another stop to do, because mediums, unless they have some kind of crazy tyre upgrades, won't be able to get to the end. You see Verstappen is also in, and we're going to see where Hamilton comes out. Hamilton is just ahead, but Verstappen is actually behind us. So we've gained a position in terms of Verstappen, and the likes of Ricciardo as well coming into the pits. But that's nice, but we're really not going to be racing them at all. They're in Mercedes, they're in McLarens, they're in Red Bulls, where they're 5 cars higher in terms of performance. They'll have double probably the upgrades we have on the car already. You see, running a bit wide there, the pressure of Raikkonen.
Hamilton ahead. Okay, gap ahead is 2.2
We're seeing what strategy Hamilton is actually on.
Think they've got one more stop.
And Jeff believes that they have one more stop, so they are doing a 2-stop. So let's see if safety cars or things might help their strategy or not. But they will potentially lose time and maybe right at the back of the grid and have to fight through me, Raikkonen, all this traffic, if you like. And you see, we're not going to fight Verstappen. Verstappen is so much quicker. He's on fresh tyres, quicker tyres, but you can see we're putting it into overtake just to make sure we're aware. And actually, we end up having a little tap in the back of him because he catches out. I think he's been stuck behind Raikkonen in the braking zone, and that kind of catches me unaware. But via the MFD, we had no damage. But you can see we've got a tasty lineup of cars here. We've got Perez coming out of the grid. We're going to have to go for a dive bomb. We completely overcock it and overcook it completely. We do, locking up those front tyres, and it was a bit ambitious. But I saw 3 people in front of me, and I saw a triple overtake, and I had to go for it. But it didn't quite pay off. But you can see here, lap 11 now, and Jack Aitken is actually going past us. So clearly, he's been protecting his medium tyres much better than I have. We're just going to let him through because we're going to do a bit of teamwork here. And you can see how much understeer we have in the dirty air behind Aitken through the long right. Ricciardo goes through. Again, we're not going to fight him.
That's us down a place.
Jeff telling us useless information as usual. But we're not going to fight Ricciardo because they're the top teams. We're not fighting them in this race today. We're just trying if we can hold on to, or try and get a singular point in this race. Putting it in for overtake nonetheless. Stay in the slipstream. See if we can catch up with Aitken a bit and work together with him. And see, I had a look at Ricciardo, but ended up bailing out. I see Norris is right tucked up behind us now, that we've been fighting so much. Vettel isn't far behind either, on soft tyres, interestingly. So he's obviously gone from maybe mediums to softs, or has done a really long stint on those softs, and those are worn softs. But either way, they're going to be still quicker, I imagine, or maybe about the same pace as these mediums. But we see Norris is right tucked up behind us now, coming into the horrible corner. And we're going to see he's probably going to dispatch of us very quickly. See, we're just taking a nice line. Not going to use overtake, we don't need to. Obviously we've got the DRS, so we're going to use that. And you can see, look at the straight line of the McLaren. I think it's probably the best car in a straight line. And it just goes flying through, no problems overtaking us whatsoever. Vettel is next to take us. And all we can do really is just try and fight them as little as possible to try and, you know, lose as much time. But that is our teammate. Our teammate has had an engine failure. Season 1, race 1. They are out. What a shame for Jack Aitken. Oh, I thought we were going to get some points there. Bigger chance for us to get points. But that means I'm going to have to carry the gauntlet and try and get some points for our team. Otherwise, this has all been for nothing. And you see Leclerc, a couple of laps later, tries to go around our outside and completely fails and just stops for some reason. He's trying to safely rejoin, but by doing this he's lost 3 positions. So drama for Leclerc, and because of this a safety car actually comes out. So we are going to change tyres. This was actually the same lap where our pit window was anyway, to change to the hards. But this way, under the safety car, we can change without losing as much time. And you can see we're coming into the pits now, changing onto those hard compound tyres. You see lots of people diving in as well. They've seen the safety cars out and think, right, free stop, let's save as little time as possible. And there we go, onto the hard tyres there. Pit lane exit. You can see we've got a big group of cars ahead. And here we go, we're on to the restart, and I completely misjudged this. I should have gone when I initially pressed the throttle, but I backed off because I thought I was going to overtake Vettel before the line, but that ends up not being the case. But despite that, we end up going up the inside with no problems whatsoever and just sending it, because we're going to lick the stamp and send it. You see Vettel already is trying to get us back. He's up the inside. We're going to see if we can hang this right around the outside of turn 3. The corner sort of allows you to do it. We're still side by side. He's still alongside, and I'm just going to have to give him the place. You can see he's very slow mid corner from taking a bad line. Now I get hang out to dry there. Leclerc decides, thank you very much, I'm going to take that position off you. So that's been a terrible restart really. We ended up gaining 1 on Vettel and then losing the position to Vettel, and then Leclerc takes us. So an awful start. No DRS off the start as well, so trying to stay with these guys is going to be very tricky on the same compound. But you can see, here we go, here's the replay around the outside of Vettel, and then we're side by side going into the S's, and this never works, so I back out. But he's so slow mid corner, he kind of just completely boggles me, and then Leclerc takes an opportunistic move. You can see accidentally we kind of closed the door on Raikkonen there, but I didn't really mean to do that. I didn't realise he was still alongside, and he ended up getting a terrible exit off of that. You can see lap 18 now, we got not too many laps to go, about 2/3 of the race in. Gasly is now trying to get us, we're in 14th. We're just holding on and hoping to get some kind of points maybe, but points are looking very unlikely unless the guys up ahead, so the Leclerc and Vettel, unless they fight a lot, I've really got no chance. But people still have to stop. So you saw earlier in the race that Hamilton is one of the lights that are going to do a 2-stop, and I imagine that Verstappen and the rest of the top 3 or 4 will be doing a similar strategy. But you can see Gasly breezes by, nothing I can do, I let him have it. We're just going to try and follow him and get onto the train of Leclerc and Vettel, and see if we can just take anything from this race. You know, you can see lap 24 now, we're getting towards the latter stages of the race, but Hamilton is down in 13th, so that 2-stop strategy has clearly not worked. And he's dispatched of sights. He's probably gonna get us, imagine, this lap very easily. A Mercedes versus our car is just You can't even compare them. That car is just so much quicker than us. So we're going to try not to fight him, but he catches up so quickly to my surprise, and really in the wrong area for him. He catches in the S's, which is a place we can't really overtake, but Hamilton proves me wrong and just sends it up the inside into the hairpin. We don't want to fight him. We don't want really sights to get us because, well, we don't want to lose any more positions. We're in 13th now, and we don't want to lose any positions to sights. Norris, they're all coming through now in quicker cars in the performance index, so we don't want to lose any positions to them. 5 laps of fuel, that's plenty of fuel. And you can see Norris again, deja vu, goes up the inside, and nothing we could do again. It's straightforward for him. You see the understeer is pretty bad still. On these, I felt better on these hard tyres. The medium tyres seem to be wear off very quickly. Understeer crept in very quickly, and you can see Raikkonen, we're going for a move on him. Going to go up the inside into T1. Thank you very much. Park the car on the apex so he can't reply, and that's a lovely gain of position there. So we're up into 13th. This is 1 place better than where we started, but that ends up being the end of the race, and that is where we finish. So a net gain of 1, not too bad, but I think we'll take that. That's not bad at all. Not a bad race.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
A fantastic team effort then to secure victory here in the desert. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, the safety car completely changed the race, didn't it? It's hard to say exactly what would have happened without it, but there's no question that they came out of that situation in a good position.
So again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot. A well-earned victory for Mercedes.
So there we go then. Valtteri Bottas wins the race. Hamilton way down the order. I think he only just scraped into the top 10. So I mean, you could say if we defended from Hamilton a bit more, we could have maybe capitalised on some points, but it was looking unlikely with the rest of the pack being so fast at this stage. Here we go. Here are the standings. Get a lovely chunk of points there for the podium pass. But it ended up being a pretty good race. There we go, in 13th, not bad. Unfortunately, Aitken crashed, well, not crashed out, retired. But that is it from me. I hope you all have enjoyed this first episode of My Team Career Mode. Obviously, we'll be doing more seasons than just one, so stick around. But beating all our competition.
Be sure to join us for the next one.
And there we go. That is it for the Bahrain Grand Prix. A pretty eventful race. Ended up dying off the end, but it ended up being pretty eventful. But that is it from me, as I say, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Put the notification bell on, because YouTube seems to think that you need to be notified to actually see videos. But anyway, that was it from me. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all guys next time.